50 years ago, fewer than 100 of the world's cities had populations of 1 million or more. Within 10 years, nearly 500 will. For example, 50 years ago, China was still largely an agrarian society. But in the middle of our current century, it's expected that as much as 3/4 of the entire population of China will live in cities. And I was there 2 months ago visiting Beijing and Shanghai. And there's certainly two things that are true. One, they've made enormous progress. They've taken roughly 600 million people and given them the benefits of modern society. The other thing is true is that they have staggering problems ahead of them. They have roughly 600 million people that live on $1 a day or less. So China is a country that can help others, but also a country that needs our help. And I think that can be said of every country, including America. America needs help from around the world. We need people coming here. I'll talk about that. We need capital coming here. I'll talk about that. We need ideas and improvements to our culture from around the world, and we have a lot to be proud of and a lot to export elsewhere. Now, such astonishing growth really has produced new responsibilities put on the shoulders of all of us who work in large cities, and that's what I want to talk about today. All of us in every country today face daily and directly the economic, social, and environmental consequences of explosive urban growth. We now have to deal with the forces of globalization and climate change. And simultaneously, we must confront the challenges of providing all of our people with the health and social services they need to create better lives for their families. And as citizens of the world, our duties certainly are great, but so are the opportunities, I think, for building a more secure and prosperous world for everyone. A world where anything that can be imagined can be accomplished, where ending illiteracy or hunger or stopping AIDS or cleaning the air or deterring corruption are things that really are within our control. I think people are afraid to confront the important issues of our time. They're afraid to confront the complicated issues of our time. If there isn't a simple solution, they don't want to get near it. But the truth of the matter is there are no simple solutions to complex problems. Nevertheless, we as individuals have a responsibility to do so and to do what I think is important. We want to share the great American dream with the rest of the world. And I think it is a dream that embodies the aspirations of people all around the globe. And you should know that I am very proud of everything this country has done. I don't always agree with everything that it does do today. But we have a responsibility, and I think America, you will find, will stand up and do its part. Now, some people doubt that the world's great cities are up to the tasks before us, but I do not. Time after time, cities have shown an ability to overcome even the most daunting obstacles and to mobilize and maximize the talents of our people. Today, I would like to use the transformation of New York City as a small example of what I think can be done. And God knows that you in this room and your colleagues around the world are truly trying to face infinitely more serious problems of people who are just trying to stay alive. But nevertheless, what New York City has done perhaps can be used elsewhere, and we would be proud if anybody would take our ideas and plagiarize them and improve them and send them back to us, even better. We have no not invented here problem. We are a city, a global city, and the great strength of New York is that we have taken ideas from every place. If you go back to 9/11, many people thought that New York's days of greatness were numbered. There were serious predictions that businesses and residents would flee the city wholesale, that our economy would never recover, that crime would once again take root in our city, and that New York was headed for an irreversible downward spiral of decline. I don't know if that sounds familiar, but it should, because I bet that all of you have heard the naysayers and cynics say exactly the same thing and disparage the work of the World Bank and say that you won't succeed, that you can't succeed. We heard exactly the same thing: doubt, defeatism, hopelessness, negativism. But I think we've shown, and you have shown, that we can address these problems. And in New York in the last 6 years, New York City certainly has proved the naysayers wrong, and I think you are doing exactly the same thing. How did we do it? Well, there's no one answer, of course, no royal road to success, but I believe there are four values which have helped transform New York City and which provide lessons for the rest of the world, lessons that are universal and transferable. And they are harnessing the force of immigration and globalization, tapping the power of innovation, instituting rigorous and accountable governance, and having the independence to take on entrenched interests when they stand in the way of progress. And let me expand on each of these values, beginning with the long-term and continued embrace of immigration and globalization. If you want to know what I think is the single biggest difference between New York and other cities that have never recovered from the job losses of the 1970s in America, I have one word for you: immigrants. Over the past 30 years, our immigrant population in New York has more than doubled in size. Today, 37% of New Yorkers, more than 3 million people, are foreign-born, and more than 70% of them have come to New York since 1980. Their ambition, hard work, and entrepreneurial drive continues to bring dynamic new life to our economy and a fresh new spirit to our city. New Yorkers understand that. Even after 9/11, when it would have been understandable for us to become fearful about the rest of the world, we have continued to welcome immigrants in New York City at a historic-making pace, and they have more than repaid us. Just as important as this global movement